Okay, good morning class. So today we look probably completing paper 2. Okay. And this is from the Sanssouci November 2019 paper. Okay. So the matriculants who are sweating there writing their paper 2 is the people, the students who wrote this paper. Okay. Right, let's do this. So we stopped at 3. No? That's where we must stop. Right. Consider the figure alongside. The question says write down the ratio of sine theta. So we look at the theta there, sinus, opposite over hypotenuse. And that is your hypotenuse. Not so. So it's going to be sine theta equals r over m. And the next question says give the ratio of tan beta. Tan. So tan is opposite over adjacent. Where does that come from? You guys remember SSGHS? I remember it as all the way as a hat of apples. Any dirty rhyme you guys know works with this, no? Right. Teachers that came up with some dirty stuff for this thing. But okay, we keep it civil, no? Right, so what do we have here? Opposite and adjacent. So that's going to be tan of beta equals opposite, which is b over. Any conclusion there? Confusion. Any confusion? In 4.1.3, the question says, under what conditions would A be parallel to B? Under what condition would line A be parallel to line B? Huh? If this was, the question you should be asked is, if these lines was parallel, what would you have done? Alternate angles would have been equal. So, in order for those lines to be parallel, the alternate angles should be. Not so. So, under what condition will that be parallel? If angle theta was equal to theta. That's the only time it will be parallel. Okay? If they asked you to give a reason, the reason would have been there. So the alternate angles are equal. Okay? But the reason wasn't asked for, so you don't need to state it. We're going to 4.2. The question says if A is equal to 28.2 and B is 126.4, calculate the value of 2 sine A plus cos 3B. So wherever I see an A, I put a 28.2 plus cos 3 times B, which is 126.4. When you put this in the calculator, let's fix this quickly. Alright, so you put this in the calculator, you should get it as 2 sine 28.2 plus cos 3 times. Do not close the bracket and open the bracket. Don't do it. So that would say cos of 3 times 1, that ratio multiplied by 126.4. You understand? So rather, on the right way, it's going to be 3 times 126.4. That gives us 1,89. Right? Any confusion there? No confusion? 4.3. Use a calculator to solve x in each of the following triangles. If you look here, here's your angle. What is this relative to that angle? It is your adjacent. What is this? Hypotenuse. So which trigonometric function is adjacent and hypotenuse? Cos. So it will be cos 70 equals 8 over x. Naturally over 1, cross multiply. So x cos 70 equals 1 times 8 is 8. Divided by cos 70 both sides. So x is equal to, that in the calculator is 8 over cos 70. Gives us 23,39. Nope, not degrees, centimeters. That's again. Okay? Any confusion here? No? 4.2, 4.3.2. These are x. The x is in angle C. What is that to the angle? Opposite. This here? Adjacent. Which trigonometric function is opposite and adjacent? Tan. So tan of x equals opposite, which is 17,35 over 12. How do I get x on its own? Arctan, or shift tan. Arctan of 17,35 over 12.3. Put it in the calculator, shift tan 17,35 over 12.3. 54,67 degrees. Now we're talking about degrees. Okay. Why are you late?
How's the music?
Music in the maths meeting.
I didn't schedule it. My teachers couldn't move it.
When were you told about this lesson?
Friday.
So, you had to tell him Friday already. You have maths in the speed, don't you think?
I couldn't move it anymore.
How couldn't you have moved it? I spoke to Mr. Engel, he's here. If the learner has a maths period during music, he's allowed to change it.
I don't go to the
Whoever. Mr. Engel is the head of music. Isn't it?
same.
So? Right. Next, question 4.4. The line segment AH below has a length of root 3x. If it is known that AH is the height of an equilateral triangle, ABC, find the perimeter of ABC in terms of x. So an equilateral triangle, this is what an equilateral triangle is. It's all 60. Not so? And all those lengths are equal. We are told that you want the perimeter of triangle ABC. Okay? AH it is its height of the equilateral triangle. So the height is going to go down here. Let's put h here. This AH is going to be root 3x. Can you see that? So to calculate the length here, can you see? Here's your angle. You got your opposite. And what is this? Can't be adjacent. Remember the height is going to be perpendicular. It's going to be your hypotenuse. So if I got the hypotenuse, I multiply the hypotenuse by 3. Then I will get the perimeter of the triangle. Not so. So what do I say? Which trigonometric function is opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. So it's going to be sine 60 equals opposite, which is root 3 x over hypotenuse. So what do? Cross multiply. So it's going to be h sine 60 equals root 3x divided by sine 60 both sides. That cancels, so h is equal to. Now you can put this in a calculator, but we know that 60 is a special triangle, not so. So let's test our special triangle information or rule. It's going to be 1, 2, root 3. What is sine of 60? So root 3 over 2. So it's a root 3x divided by the root 3 over 2, which is the same as the root 3x over 1 times 2 over root 3. That now cancels, leaves you with 2x. Okay? So therefore, what's the perimeter? Perimeter is 2x times 3, which is 6x. Okay? Good question, eh? Any confusion here? Next question, question 3. If 13 sine alpha is equal to 5 and alpha is an element of 0 to 90, what does 0 to 90 mean? Must be in the first quadrant. Not so. So it will be in your first quadrant. By using a sketch calculator value of the following. So firstly we need to get sine of alpha on its own. How do we get sine of alpha on its own? Divide by 30. What does sine stand for? What does sine stand for? Opposite over hypotenuse. So in your first quadrant, the opposite to this angle in your standard position is going to be 5, hypotenuse is 30. How do I calculate that length? Pythagoras. So it's going to be 13 squared equals 5 squared plus your adjacent side squared, which is 169 minus 25, the square root thereof is going to give you 12. Okay? So cos, what does cos stand for? Cos of alpha is adjacent, which is 12, adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? Next question. Again, there's a special angle coming in here, a special angle of 45. So we say sine, so it's 169, sine squared times sine 45. So sine squared alpha, sine stands for opposite over hypotenuse, it's 5 over 13 squared. Sine of 45. So that takes you to this 45 degree triangle. So it's 1 root 2. What is sine of 45? 1 over root 2. Now 5 squared is 25. 13 squared is 169, which cancels that. Times 1 over root 2. Which is simply 25 over root 2. Or it could have been written as 25 root 2 over 2. You punch in the calculator, you put that answer. Okay? The question say without using a calculator? No. Next question, 5.2. In question 5.2, we are told in the sketch below, CBD is 90 degrees. CBD, so these are 90 degrees. PAD is 90 degrees. PAD, for there. And angle D is 61 degrees. They didn't mention that angle C is 90, but it's also given 90. The length of BD is 14 centimeters. That's it. So all the information given is on the diagram. Okay? The question says, find the length of CD. CD. CB. This length. So as you can see, I can't go straight into that triangle. Not so. However, we can calculate AB. Not so. So let's calculate AB first. So here we've got 61 degrees. So AB is what to 61? Opposite. What do we have? What is this? Is it not opposite the 90 degrees? It's your hypotenuse. So which trigonometric function uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Cos. It's going to be cos of 61 equals adjacent. Now opposite. Now we're using opposite and hypotenuse. So it should be sine. Yes. Now who said cos? Well, I said cos. Okay. And I'm writing cos again. Okay. 61. Sine of 61 is equal to AB over 14. So cross multiply. So 14 sine 61 is equal to AB. So 14 sine 61. So you give you 12,24. So AB is 12.24 centimeters. Is that enough information to calculate the length of BC? Huh? No? I need at least an angle there. Sorry. I need an angle there. Do I have an angle? No. So I should calculate an angle. But we know that this angle here can be calculated. Not so? Once I've got B2, I say 90 minus that. I've done the job. Not so? So B2 is equal to 180 minus 90 degrees, which is this here. I'm going with sum of triangles. Okay? So it's 180 minus 90 minus 61 degrees. Gives us 29. Is that correct? So that's 29 degrees. So can I do the calculation now? Yes. Yes? P2 is 29. Okay, good. My mistake again. P2 is 29. So what is P1? Yes. Yes. There was 90 minus 29, which is 61. Why? Complementary angles. Not some O. It's given that angle CBA D is 90. But do we need to give a reason here? No. Why not? It's not asked. It's not geometry they will ask you. You require a reason. If they wanted you to give, this is working and giving a reason. So we have to say, this is going to be sum of triangles. It's triangle ABD. People, if they say this here, giving reasons, that means to say there's a mark allocated for your reason. So if you do everything besides giving reasons, you're going to lose some of the marks. Okay? What is the reason here? The reason here is that CBD is equal to 90. That was given to us. Right? Now what do we say? This is CB is what to the angle? Relative to the angle. To adjacent side. And this here? Hypotenuse. Which trigonometric function is that? That one is cos here. The cos 61 degrees equals adjacent, which is CB over 12, 24. You guys understand? What do we do now? Put it over 1, cross multiply. So it's going to give you CB equals 12,24 cos of 61. Okay? So you put it in the calculator. Answer cos 61. That gives us 5,94. Is that correct? common centimeters. Okay. Any confusion here? You all okay? Alright. The next question. Question 6. In question 6 it says, write down the period of f of x. What's the period? Time taken to complete one full cycle. F of x is the sine curve. That's all. So what's the period of that graph? 360. What's the period of the g graph? 360. What's the amplitude of the f graph? 3. What's the amplitude of the g graph? 1. Okay. So look at the next question. It says, draw the graphs of f of x equals 3 sine x and g of x equals cos x plus 1 for x in element of 0 to 9 over 360 on the same set of axes. So I'm going to draw the f graph first. I need it to go to 3. I only made it go to 2. So I'm just going to change it quickly. Right, so the f of x graph, it's the sine graph, and you know the sine starts at the bottom. Sine of 90, of course, is 3. Sine of 180, 0. 3 sine of 270 is negative 3. And 0. So what we do is connect the dots. Do what we do best, no? Connect the dots. Whoops. That's not a good one. And importantly, I must write in the turning points 90 and 3. And this is 270 and minus 3. You see, this is on the axis here, so I don't have to write that in coordinate form. So that is f of x. Let's look at the g of x graph. The g of x graph is cos x. So what's happening cos graph? It's moving 1 unit up. So it goes 2, normally 1, it's 2. Normally 90 is at 1 now. 180 is now at 0. 270 is at 1. 360. This is the graph of g of x. I write in the endpoint because the endpoint is not on an axis there. The turning point is on here. I don't need to write those points. There's the graph of g of x. Okay. No. Let's look at the next question. The next question says, if f of x is shifted 1 unit down, f of x is this black graph, no? It's shifted 1 unit down. Write down the range of the new graph. So what is the current range of f of x? From negative 3, the current range? Y is greater equal to negative 3, but less than equal. Not so. So if this graph moves 1 unit up, down, 1 unit down. So in other words, this graph here is shifting 1 unit time. It's currently at negative 3. 1 unit time will go to negative 4. So it's at negative 4 and at 2. Not so. So what is the equation there? Oh, sorry, not the equation, but the range. So y must be greater or equal to negative 4, but less than equal to. Alright, you all okay with that? Let's look at the next one. Is that it? So the only questions I asked you with regards to this graph? Yes, okay. 6.2. Right, 6.2. The sketch below shows a graph of y is equal to sin x and y is equal to cos x. Which graph, G or H, is the cosine for the cos graph? Cosine is cos, no? Which graph is the cos graph? We know the cos graph starts up top by its maximum and it comes down like that. So which graph is going to be the cos graph? The G graph, G of x. Is equal to the cos x. You all agree with that? So if G of x is cos, then this has to be the sin x. You all okay with that? The next question. Determine the coordinates of A. People, what is A? If you look at the cos graph, this will be point A, not so? In this case, it's what? What's the coordinates of A? It's 90 and 0, yes. B, the turning point. This is the turning point of the sine graph. Remember, what does the sine graph look like? Does that there at 360, and he's doing that there. Not so? Now that B is this coordinate here. You see that? What's the coordinates of B? Negative 90 and negative. Okay. How do I know it's negative 1 and not negative 2? Look at that amplitude there, with the number in front. What's the amplitude of the sine x? That is 1. I just say that now. Next question. If the y equals sine x graph above was reflected about the y-axis, what's the rule is something reflected in the y-axis? X becomes negative. Write down the coordinates of the minimum turning point of the graph. If y equals 2x was reflected about the y-axis, write down the coordinates of the minimum turning point of the graph. So x becomes reflected in the y-axis. X becomes negative. So if you take the sine graph here and I reflect it, then as you can see, this graph first goes up, then down on the positive part. Here it's going to go first down, then up. Can you see that? So this is the reflected graph. Not so. Reflected in the y-axis. So now, let's say here, write down the coordinates of the minimum turning point of the graph. The minimum. Now remember, it's only this part of the graph that is drawn anyway. Not so. So the minimum turning point has to be this point. You guys understand? Isn't the minimum? So what's the coordinates of the minimum turning point? 90 and negative 1. Okay. If the graph of y equals 3 tan x minus 2 was drawn on the system of axes above, what would the period of the new graph be? What's the period of a tan graph? 180 degrees. So that will simply be 180. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Question 7. This is your measurement question. Okay. In question 7, we are told a wooden block with a square base of x units and a length of y units. A wooden block with a square base. Okay, so if this is a square base, all this here is going to be x. Not so? And the length of y units, which is the depth of the object, as a hole with a radius r drilled through the center of the base. 7.1. Show that the equation for the volume V of the wooden block once the hole has been drilled through the block in terms of x and y is given as that. So where do we start? We start by saying that the volume, how do you calculate the volume of an object? It's going to be area of base times the height or the depth of the object. So what we have here is a square base. How do you calculate the volume of a square? It's going to be of a square. Side square times the depth of the object, which is the height. So what's going to happen is that side square times height is the box in total. Not so everything, the box. So I'm subtracting now the volume of the cylinder that is drilled through here. Does it make sense? Hi boss, how's it? Could the other paper go?
It's easier than paper one.
Where we now? Alright. So now we're going to subtract the volume of the cylinder. How do you calculate the volume of a cylinder? Area of base times height. Well, how do you calculate the area of a circle? Pi r squared times the depth of the object. Right, you guys understand? So it's going to be side times side. So what's the length of the side? X. So it's x squared times the depth of the object, which is y, minus pi, the radius will be r squared. As you can see, the radius is listed as r, times height, which is y. Okay. But if you look here, do you see an r squared? No. So I must write r in terms of x. Can you see that? So if you look at the square base here, your square, you got this circle going through here. This is x. That is going to be 1 centimeter there and 1 centimeter here, of course. And the radius r there. So this whole length here is going to be 2r. Can you see that? So in other words, x is also equal to 1 plus 2r plus 1. Can you see it? X is equal to 1 plus 2r plus 1. Not so? So I'm going to make r the subject of the formula. So 2r is equal to x minus 2 divided by 2. So it's x minus 2 over 2. Did you see that, people? And that is what I replace r with there. So in other words, the volume is equal to x squared y minus pi r, it's going to be x minus 2 over 2 squared. And there we just proven that the volume can be written as that. Okay, any confusion? Okay. The next question we are told in 7.2. If x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 5 centimeters, and y is given in millimeters. So I must convert this to millimeters or centimeters first. Calculate it's either I calculate this to centimeters or that to millimeters. Okay? But if we read on, we will know which one to convert. Calculate the volume of the wooden box, a block, and give your answer in centimeters cubed. So it's going to be safer to change that. Okay? So that is going to be 12 centimeters. Not so? Right. So this is going to be volume equals x, which is 5 squared times y, which is 12 minus pi. X is 5 minus 2 over 2 squared times y, which is 12. So that gives us 5 squared times 12 minus pi times open brackets 5 minus 2 over 2 squared times 12. 215,18. Is that correct? Huh? What? Right. Any problems here, people? No? Okay, so the next question is a geometry question. I think we'll stop the video now. No, let's complete. Okay. Give a reason for all statements and calculation question 8. The following diagram, we are told that AD is equal to BC, and those lines are parallel. The first question says, prove that a triangle ABC is congruent to triangle CDA. There are 4 cases of congruency. Side, 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 side angle side, right hand hypotenuse side, and side angle side. No, is that the one? Right. So, looking at this here, it's going to be A, B, C, and that triangle B. What can we say about the 2 triangles? So we say in triangle ABC and triangle CDA. What can we say? AD equal to BCY given. What else can we say? ACF. AC is a common side. Okay. So we use 2 sides. So we must have an included angle. No? We use that and this. So we must say something about that angle. Or we must use another side. But what do we know? DAC is equal to BCA or ACB. Why? Alternate angles are equal with AD being parallel to BC. Not so? Is that enough to conclude congruency? Yes. So therefore triangle ABC is congruent to triangle CDA. Why? Side angle. Okay. 8.1.2. Hence prove that A, B, D, C. A. Why did I give you 3 marks back then? You can say, oh yeah, see. You say since. Yeah, there are 4 or 5 ways to prove something is a parallelogram. The way we're going to use here is that one pair of opposite sides are equal and parallel. We must first state the obvious. We say since AD is equal to BC. Where do we get that? Given. AD is parallel. AD is parallel to BC. Why? Given. Therefore, ABCD is a parallelogram. Why? One pair of opposite sides equal and parallel. Okay. Just wrap this up, people. We are told that in the diagram below, we are given a few lengths that are equal, and it's already indicated on the diagram. Then we are told that KD is 15, and then AKD is a straight line. The first question says calculate the length of FE. Calculate the length of FE. Hello? I'm going to leave school in the school in 3 minutes. Just leave me know where you are. No, in front is fine. Alright, so FE. What do we notice here? What can we use here? Sorry? Midpoint theorem. 5 marks. So firstly, for the midpoint theorem, we needed to know that's equal to that, which we don't know at this point. But we weren't given that. However, we know that since EB is equal to DE, that was given. Okay? And then FB is equal to FA, that was also given. So therefore, AFE is parallel to AD. Why? Midpoint theorem. Now we can say this was in triangle BAD. Now this is now in triangle CEF. I can say that CD is equal to DE, that was given. Then we know that KD is parallel to FE, proven. Therefore, FE is twice 15, which is 30. Why? The converse of the midpoint theorem. Okay, so that is now 30. Alright. The next question, we are asked AD. Calculate AD. So if we look at AD, which is the same. But what do you notice? Again, midpoint theorem here. Can you see? So AD, but now everything is laid out for us already. So that's going to be 8.2.2. So AD, so we have said that already. We have mentioned that already. So we don't have to state it again. So now we just say that AD is double 30.
Go to the office now. One way is meeting in room 43 now at break.
Because of the midpoint theorem.
Room 43 now at break.
We have stated everything in its place already. So that is simply going to give us 60. Is our length is 60. And the last question is to calculate KA. Now to calculate KA, it's going to be this part here. Not so. So 8.3.2 KA has to be equal to 60 minus 15, which is 45 millimeters. Any confusion, people? Did I give you a paper to work on already? Yes. Tomorrow we'll start that paper. People, enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon, class. Sorry for keeping you.